Hi, this is Jaya. In this video, we shall see the summary of Bodies That Matter by Judith Butler. In this book, Butler tackles the topics of materiality, performity, gender, and sex. She challenges the essential views proposing that gender performity defines identities over time. The book dwells into the theme of performity and identification to examine sexual difference as a regularity ideal, criticize a sex or gender distinction, and explore the nature of gender norms. Butler analyzes the implications of exclusion and develops the notion of abjection, that is, exclusion, as a category with subversive potential. Butler scrutinizes post structural idealism, critiques the feminist focus on an idealized female body, and questions essentialism while advocating for a nuanced understanding of materiality. After examining the theme of the relationship between penis and phallos in the works of Sigmund Freud and Jacques Lacan, Butler proposes the lesbian phallus as a deconstruct symbol that challenges normative gender views. Butler advances the theme of queer subversion as critical practice, arguing that the term queer can be a site of political resistance. In addition, Butler discusses the critical potential of drag performance and its subversive role in challenging heteronormativity. Other works by her include Undoing Gender, Performative Acts and Gender Constitution, and Precarious Life. In the preface of Bodies That Matter, Judith Butler introduces the central theme of materiality, the physical reality of the body, performity, gender, and sex. Butler emphasizes their personal investment in the subject matter and addresses critics of their earlier work. The introduction considers Michael Foucault's idea of regularity ideal, social norms that govern behavior, and its importance in the formation of sexual difference. Butler develops a nuanced examination of the sex-gender distinction and the role of materiality in the history of philosophy. Although the book relies on multiple philosophical schools of thought, the most influential include post-structuralism, feminism, and psychoanalysis. In Chapter 1, Butler examines the classical dichotomy of matter and discourse in philosophy, focusing on how the feminine body is implicated in related theories. Considering Aristotle's and Plato's views on the soul and body, Butler critiques their approaches which exclude the feminine from philosophy. Then they shift the focus to Louis Irigary's analysis of Plato's form-matter dichotomy. Irigary argues that this dichotomy does not include the feminine in any form. While agreeing with Irigary's critique of traditional philosophy, Butler in turn critiques her gender essentialism, advocating for a broader exploration of excluded identities. In Chapter 2, Butler discusses Sigmund Freud's essay on narcissism, exploring the link between bodily pain, libido, and psychic investment. Critiquing Freud's connection of pathology and arousal, Butler cautions against accepting this theory amid contemporary discourses. They analyze the traditional dichotomy of mind and body in philosophy, asserting that they coexist with and inform each other. Butler extends their discussion to bodily morphology, the physical makeup of the body, introducing the concept of phantasmatic morphology in which the body is shaped by ideas and language. Critiquing Jacques Lacan's masculine-centric concept of ego formation, Butler introduces the idea of the lesbian phallus, challenging the symbolic link between the phallus and the penis. In Chapter 3, Butler challenges essentialism in sexual identity essentialism. Rejecting binary thinking, they defend performative construction, arguing that societal constraints inform the construction of identity. Examining Lacan's notion of sexual identification, in which identification arises from societal prohibitions and desire, Butler questions heteronormativity, social structures and discourses that support heterosexual relationships as the only viable option for expressing love and desire, arguing that real identifications and desires defy traditional norms. Critiquing identity politics the tendency to form affiliations based on shared social categories. They call for a democratic society that recognizes diverse identities without exclusion, advocating for the disruption of symbolic arrangements. In chapter 4, Butler turns to Louis Althusser's concept of interpellation, in which individual identities are molded by social frameworks, and argues that performity is useful in understanding the constant shaping of gender identity in society. Analyzing the film Paris is Burning by Jenny Livingston, Butler explores the ambivalence of drag in reinforcing and subverting gender roles. They critique simplistic feminist views that dismiss drag as a sexist performance and introduce an intersexual dimension, as well as examine the film's use of race to address broader issues. In chapter 5, Butler drags several evocative images and concepts from Willa Cather's prose, such as the symbolic significance of one's name, the symbol of the snake, which represents masculine castration, and the role of the lesbian in reinforcing heterosexual conventions. Butler continues with literary examples in chapter 6, in which they examine Neela Larsen's novel Passing to Advance, an intersectional method of analysis in which they draw on gender, race, and class elements. They propose the term queering to highlight the inclusion of both race and sexuality in analysis. Butler challenges the notion of prioritizing sexual difference over racial or class differences. Instead, she proposes an understanding of interconnected racial, gender, and class norms. In chapter 7, Butler engages with the work of Slavoj Žižek, his critique of post-constructionism, and his understanding of Lacanian foreclosure as part of subject formation. Lacanian foreclosure is the idea that psychosis results from exclusion. For example, Lacan asserts that the Oedipal complex results from a lost father figure. Butler questions Žižek's treatment of the feminine as an empty signifier, cast as exterior to social configurations through the process of foreclosure, and critiques his dismissal of feminism. Butler explores the performativity of political signifiers like women, emphasizing their role in shaping identities and aiding political engagement. Chapter 8 explores the term queer and its historical uses, from discrediting non-heteronormative individuals to strengthening homophobic communities. Butler advocates reclaiming queer for political constitution. They analysis extends to the critical potential of drag performances, emphasizing the subversive potential of such performance in challenging heteronormity by exposing the constructed nature of gender norms. If you have anything more to add on to what I've said, please write it in the comment box. Like the video, share it with your friends, and if you have not subscribed my channel, please subscribe and support. Thank you.